And when we talk about violence, we also need to look at, it's very deep rooted. It has been there for generations. So the way it's looked is it's impunity. People don't even see it is violence anymore. It is very much there. The stereotypical things that we talked about, the roles, it is there. So it's not only domestic violence. We need to look at structural violence, state-led violence, the physical, psychological, and also, the economic violence that women face. We have to take care of that. And we have to be also alert that impunity is there and that embedded discrimination. I call it from womb to tomb. 100 million women are missing in South Asia. Girls are not even allowed to be born. So how can it only be our battle? It has to be the battle of all. That is the governments, the NGOs, the question asked by Renuji. And I strongly feel that unless it's not only girls, it's not only men and boys networks. I think we have to talk about larger institutions, the lawyers collectives, the judges, the police. They have to be along with it, because I strongly feel that we need to change our narrative. We have to talk about it doesn't only harm women. The cost that she faces is not only what she faces. The children face, when they see violence, it goes to the next generation, and so on. We also have to take care of that. And the other thing we have to see is it costs the family, the community, and the nation. If our production goes low, then who suffers? The GDP of the country also suffers. So I think we need to change our narrative and talk about these things, You are not only hurting women. But what really scares me is the vicious kind of violence that's happening. And recently, about 2 months back, the violence we heard in Calcutta hospital, the way that girl was killed, raped, killed, her eyes were taken out, and what was shoved in all her body. It's getting more heinous, more filthy and filthier. Her private parts are being cut and thrown, and then she gets killed. But why? There's a deeper things that we also have to keep in mind. So my work when I was, director in UNIFEM has been to raise these voices, get the women to talk, come out of their, the closed closets where domestic violence was literally enjoying itself, pulling it out and throwing it out in the streets and making it public. And saying public is getting IGP police from 7 countries to come to Nepal with our ministry to discuss, how do we combat. It's not just the women's group. The gender advocates were there to guide them, but they were there to plan and be together and form networks like Sapat. And I strongly believe that unless the community gets involved, and I've worked with very non-traditional people, while trying to tackle violence, while trying to combat violence, with interfaith leaders of all 4 religions. They're there at the grassroots level, they were the ones who were saying, we will stop it. Every Sunday before the Mass, we'll devote 15 minutes to talk about violence. Okay, before, in any Friday Juma prayers, we'll do the same. So their commitment has shown that there has been no violence in that state for a long time. So we call it the zero violence zones, which has worked. And putting, social workers in police stations, reminding the police what their role is, has been very powerful. So, Renuji, according to your questions, unless, these actors are come together, it never happens. And when we started talking about, we did a whole year-long campaign on violence against women. And Sathi, I see Subeksha here. So Sathi was our partner from Nepal, but we had partners in all the countries of South Asia. And we did silent marches. And one of the things, that was very extraordinary that we did that year was to make noise. We made a lot of noise, not only in our own countries, in the region, but in the General Assembly of the UN. Because when the UN was, created, I don't think anyone would have thought that there'll be rape victims coming and speaking in the General Assembly. But we brought them from Rwanda, we brought them from East Timor, and they talked about, how from victims they became survivors. So it's very important to be together, to have solidarity, right from the community to the government level, because this is one case of human misery that eats like a white ant. It eats the nation up. So unless everyone is geared towards it, it can never, never be eradicated and solved. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Liju, for your remarks. Definitely, we need to have a together for